Can Paige Bueckers retake the crown as the best player in the 2020 recruiting class? We are going to take a look at the top 7 players in the 2020 class and re-rank them at where they are now in this stage of their career. And then finally, we will take a look at Bueckers to see if she can recapture her form and return to the top of the class. Now, looking back, the 2020 incoming recruiting class was stacked. Now, I am going by the ESPN W rankings of class 2020, and number 1 obviously was Paige Bueckers, then Angel Reese at number 2, Cameron Brink 3, Caitlin Clark rated number 4, Kamilla Cardoso number 5, Diamond Johnson number 6, and HVL number 7. When you read those names, it's staggering what a great class it was, as they are all good players who are starting on their teams and having an impact. Now, I believe this as well. I am going to have to rank somebody 7 as well, and that honor goes to Diamond Johnson. She was rated number 6, and I would drop her to number 7. She commenced her career at Rutgers, but transferred after her freshman year to NC State. The 5'5" point guard averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 41% shooting last season, but she was hindered by an ankle injury that kept her out of the tournament as well. At the end of the season, she decided to transfer again, as she will be going to mid-major school, Norfolk State. So she's been a bit of a vagabond, if you like, and I take off a little bit on that, as ideally you would hope to go to one school and build your career and have a long-lasting legacy. But that being said, she's still an exciting player, and hopefully she continues to go well. Also moving down is Kamilla Cardoso from number 5 to number 6. She started her college career at Syracuse and averaged 13 points and 8 rebounds her freshman year. She then transferred to South Carolina and got a championship backing up Aaliyah Boston in the 2020-21 season. But her stats took a hit, averaging 5 points and 5 rebounds. However, last year, despite still being limited in her minutes to 18 minutes per game, she was able to average 10 points and 8 rebounds. This year, she is set to put up big numbers as Boston has moved on to the WNBA, and she might shoot back up this list before her college career is done. This next player has moved up on my list. It is HVL, who has gone from the number 7 player in the class to number 4. Now, some will argue she should be higher on this list, and they might be right. In her 3 years at Louisville, she had a massive impact as she helped take them to a Final Four and put up numbers in her 3 years there, as she averaged 15 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. She took a bigger load last year, averaging just under 20 points a game. As well, she was a fan favorite up until the point that she transferred, as she would never take a step back and always seemed to play her best in the biggest games. The last big hurrah was her going for 21 points versus Texas and shooting 51% and causing Sonia Morris to be so frustrated she lost her cool in the handshake line. Now, as you are likely aware, she is transferred to LSU. So if you are a hater, she is ring chasing and disloyal. If you're an LSU fan, she's come to her senses and decided to play with more talent and chosen the best coach in college basketball, Miss Kim Mulkey. Now, if she wins a title at LSU, I might move her to number 1 or at least up to the top 3 on this list, as she will have done it all, put up numbers, impacted a program, and won a championship. Cameron Brink was rated number 3, and she stays number 3 on my big board. Yes, I sound like Mel Kiper and my big board, like I really have a big board. Brink has had a great career at Stanford, helping them win a championship in her freshman season, and then her game has steadily improved. Her stats have slowly improved throughout that time. Now, Stanford was up and down last year, and then they got knocked out early out of the tournament as they could never find their rhythm last year. In my mind, I feel like they were almost overloaded with talent last year. The topper, or what would help complete Brink's resume, if you like, is if she could take a seemingly down Stanford, who lost Haley Jones to the WNBA and Betts to the transfer portal, and lead them back to the Final Four. Now, this is not out of the question, as they should have a nice inside-outside game with her and Lopolo. In addition, they've brought in a strong freshman class, which includes Courtney Ogden, rated number 10 in the country, and Chloe Cardi, who is rated number 40. And Brink is on board with taking a leadership role, saying it's still such early stages, but the freshmen are legit, and I'm just so excited to see them grow. Who I have rated number 2, and let's be clear, I'm going to get killed on this regardless of who I pick, but I think the number 2 player of the 2020 class is Angel Reese, and that obviously leaves Caitlin Clark as the number 1 player in the 2020 class. Now, you can make a damn good argument for Reese being the number 1 player, as both players have taken their programs to new levels. Reese was the piece that Kim Mulkey needed to put LSU rebuild way ahead of schedule. Assistant coach Gary Reedus talks about how the coaching staff knew they had a player that would take them to the next level after the first team scrimmage, as she set the bar with her intensity and reportedly just dominated that scrimmage. And ultimately, the argument for some will be that Reese delivered a championship over Clark, and that is simply game, set, and match, which I understand. But however, yes, I'll do a Stephen A. However, I just can't put her in the number 1 spot over Caitlin Clark. Yes, I know Clark did not win the championship, but to me, she took out the best team last year with the upset of the Gamecocks. She owned the tournament right up until the end. Yes, Reese got the last laugh and the ring, but the numbers that Clark put up over the last 3 years are ridiculous, with last year being her best, as she averaged 27.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists, while being efficient, shooting 47% from the floor and a ridiculous 38.9% from 3. To put it simply, she has changed the women's college game as well. Just making it to the Final Four completes her resume, in my opinion, as she proved her numbers are not hollow and that she can make other players better last year. Now, in case you did not notice earlier, there's one player I have left off. As well, you might have noticed I did not name who was rated the number 5 player on my list. Yes, it's the one and only Paige Bueckers. Now, here's my thinking on this. I can already see UConn fans writing in the hateful comments down below. I could not put her, based on what she has done over her 3 years, in front of HVL. Yes, her freshman year was ridiculously good, and she took home a hell of a lot of hardware as the AP Player of the Year, the Naismith Player of the Year, the John Wooden Player of the Year as well, and just had a ridiculous freshman season. But the fear is she Johnny Manziel, in that have we seen the best of Bueckers like we saw the best of Manziel in his freshman Heisman year, as her next 2 years were interrupted and then ruined by injuries to her left knee. Now, I considered putting her in front of HVL, and if I would have done this, I would have used the Gale Sayers rule for having such an electric freshman and parts of her sophomore year, then that's worth more than 3 years of really good years that HVL has had at Louisville. But ultimately, I decided HVL done more over the 3 years than Bueckers. Yeah, crush me, UConn fans. But there is hope for you, UConn fans, which is the brilliance that Paige Bueckers showed in her freshman and sophomore year, as her college career might be only 3/5 of the way completed. It's not out of the realm of possibility that she returns to form and leads UConn and her buddy Fudd to one, if not two, championships, as her returning for the bonus COVID year is also not out of the realm of possibility, as she will not miss out on money by staying at UConn due to NIL and how awful the WNBA rookie contracts are. And if she does return to form and does win two championships over the next 2 years, then I would suggest she would return back to the top of the list and retake the title as 2020's best player, like she held when she took out Clark in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament in 2021. But as we stand now, I've got Diamond Johnson 7, Cardoso 6, Bueckers at 5, HVL 4, Brink stays at 3, Angel Reese a controversial 2, and Caitlin Clark currently holds the belt as the best player in the 2020 class. But again, remember, we might just be a little past halftime, as hopefully these ladies have another 2 years of college ball left, and a lot might change in the next 2 years. Now, comments and poison are always welcome below. How would you rate the class 1 through 7, and what have I gotten wrong? Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Good night.